And yep, there goes the alarm on my iPhone. And so what we'll see here is a tornado warning. Now, if you're in Hamilton County, the tornado sirens will be going off, and they will more than likely be going off for the northern part of Claremont County. If I zoom in on this a little bit, I can tell you a little bit more about this. This extends from about Springdale. It extends all the way across the Butler County, Hamilton County line into Claremont County. So that would include almost all of Loveland, except for the portion of Loveland that is in Warren County. It does not include Warren or Butler, but it's far northwestern Claremont, far northeastern Hamilton County. Now that includes Loveland, Montgomery, Blue Ash, Kenwood. It extends down to Norwood. It extends over to Milford in Claremont County. It would include Goshen, Simstown, the parts of Sims Township. So if you're in the area in and around Milford, in and around Goshen, in and around Loveland, Blue Ash, Kenwood, Montgomery, Pleasant Ridge, Norwood, any of those areas, and any areas west, all the way into the west central part, or the north central part, I should say, of Hamilton County, you are under that tornado warning. Now, let's see if we can see that in a little bit. We'll advance a few frames here, and we'll zoom in on that particular storm and see what we can see. If we zoom in to there's the warning right there. So the warning extends from Batavia, right around Batavia, north to the northern border of Claremont County, westward through I-275. So that would be Goshen's in it, Milford's in it, Loveland's in it, Kenwood, all those areas. If you're in those areas, you're now under a tornado warning. And what we're going to do is try and find out exactly where that tornado may be. You have to turn back on velocity, which is what we usually look at. Velocity gives us a very good idea of where that could be and where the winds are changing very, very quickly. And there it is right there. And you can see, let me look closely here. Yeah, I don't see much that really makes me think that there's much of a rotation right there. But that's where the warning, you can see the outline of the warning there. And in the northern part of Hamilton County, that is where the tornado warning is. There it is. Turn on the tornado warning. We'll turn it back off. And I don't really see anything that makes me think that there's going to be a tornado there. Now, the Weather Service issued the tornado warning because they see rotation in the storm. I don't see as much rotation as they do. However, let's get another opinion on that. We always say two minds are better than one. And when you get two meteorologists talking about things, you often have somebody see something that you've overlooked. So, Ashley, what do you think? You're looking at that one that's in Hamilton and Claremont counties. What's your take on that warning?
You know, the other thing is, Steve, at least here at the station, our Louisville radar doesn't appear to be working. So that could also be a problem with getting the true look at velocity, is that it may be too far away from the Wilmington radar. And really, if we had that Louisville radar, we could see it a little bit better. That's something that maybe I'm thinking is the issue with finding that velocity and finding where that tornado could potentially be. But, you know, a couple things worth noting. Here at the station, we saw the lights kind of flicker. Tricia Mackey says at her home there in northern Kentucky, she saw that as well. So power outages could be another potential problem. Also, I wanted to mention in Versailles, there was actually a telephone pole that was snapped in half as those storms rolled through. Blue Ash had hail reported of 1.25 inches. That's more than quarter-size hail. And in Rushville, Indiana, which is actually just outside of our viewing area, 68-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and that was somewhat recently. If you have any photos that you can take safely and send them to us, that always helps. Some people already have done that, and we really appreciate that because it's hard to know what's going on, especially when it's dark outside. And so let's look at some of those photos that some of you have sent us right now. So here's some of this hail. This is in Glendale. Looks like, again, some of that quarter-size hail, maybe even a little bit bigger than quarter-size hail. Some other viewer photos sent across the area. This is in Wyoming, some hail. Notice that also that hail is not a perfectly round shape, and that tells us that there's a lot of turbulent kind of wind in the area, and that is kind of allowing that hail to be formed in that way that's not kind of perfect. So plenty of reports of hail. I mentioned that the last time that I was on the air, that we've seen a lot of those reports of some of that hail coming in from these storms. So wind damage is probably a likely thing that we're going to see, but also some of that hail across parts of the area and a lot of lightning. Tricia Tricia Mackey also mentioned that the tornado sirens are going off there. Again, she is in Campbell County, and she technically is just kind of on the fringe of that tornado warning, but still a good sign to kind of get people inside. Remember, that's what tornado sirens are really for, to get you from the outdoors indoors. Make sure you stay in that most interior room, the lowest level of your home. If you have a basement, that's where you want to go right now, and get to that safe spot, especially if you hear those sirens, especially if you are under that tornado warning. And as these storms roll through, they're going to move through very quickly. Let's also go out to Storm Tracker if we can. That Storm Tracker right now is still encountering some of those very strong storms and a lot of very heavy rain where the Storm Tracker is right now. I believe they are still 74 east, and that rain, and you can hear it. You can hear the rain maybe hitting, maybe even a little bit of hail in those storms too, as it kind of hits the windshield right there. And so, yeah, if you're out and about right now, you know that it's not a great place to be right now. Everybody should be inside, of course, and kind of hunker down as these storms roll through very quickly across the area. A lot of lightning, as I mentioned. You can see that in the sky, really, no matter where you are right now, and plenty of reports of some of that hail across parts of the area, as well as some of those strong damaging wind gusts. I'm checking kind of the latest reports right now, some of those storm damage reports, and it's still kind of looking like the same kind of scenario that I showed you earlier, with a lot of hail reports coming in most recently, but still a lot of those storm or wind damages. Now that I've given Steve enough time to kind of look at some of that velocity, I noticed I can see his radar that he's been looking at that velocity. Let's see what he thinks about where exactly we could see a tornado if there is one. Remember, these are radar indicated for now, but if there was an actual tornado, he's going to tell us where he thinks that potentially could be as he's looking at that radar. Steve?
Okay, well, thank you, Ashley. Yeah, I've been looking at this closely, and it looks like the center of circulation, and it's not that impressive. It's still around Gulf Manor to Silverton to Amberley Village is where the greatest circulation seems to be at this point, but it's still not that great. So I got distracted by another incoming bit of information here. So Amberley Village, Gulf Manor, into Madeira and Kenwood is where the circulation is. So if there's a tornado that's going to spin up, it would be there. But again, let's make sure we all are aware that that would be a small, short track, short-lived, not very strong tornado if we were looking at it. Now, sirens are going off all over Hamilton County. There are a number of places with power outages and that. So let's see who's got trouble with the possibility of a tornado and who doesn't, okay? So the first thing we're going to look at is the tornado warning that's in Hamilton and Claremont counties, and I'll move it far enough so that we'll be able to see it without me standing in front of it. So Springfield Township, if you're in Springfield Township in northern Hamilton County, you are under the tornado warning, but what I just looked at says that the circulation is east of you, so I wouldn't be too worried if I was in Springfield Township at this point. You're still getting thunderstorms, but the chance of a tornado is already to the east of you. Columbia Township, yes, the circulation is near you, and the circulation extends up to around Amberley Village, Arlington Heights, moving east very quickly, and then it's going to move into the Loveland. You go downriver from Loveland, you get to Twytwee, you head down, you get further and further away from Loveland, you head more and more into Hamilton County and towards Milford. So Milford to Loveland as that moves eastward into Claremont County and then over towards Newtonsville. So Goshen, anybody in the northern part of Claremont County west of Newtonsville ought to be aware that you could see a tornado touch down. Okay, another tornado warning is in effect, and that one is in northern Kentucky. Notice it goes from just north of Independence on up to basically just about to the Ohio River, and then eastward across the Licking River into the Ohio River, just across the river from New Richmond. So what we're looking at here, New Richmond here, there's that tornado warning. It extends across Campbell County into Kenton County, crossing the Licking River just north of Independence, and basically looks like if I zoom in a little bit more, or bring this down a little bit more, you'll be able to see it a little bit better, up to the I-275 Beltway. So if you're in Kenton County, Campbell County, near I-275, and southward to Independence, eastward to the Ohio River, across from New Richmond, that is where that tornado warning is. That, too, could spawn a tornado. And again, we're not looking at the big monster tornadoes that grab the headlines. We're looking at small ones, and I don't know if you just saw it, the lights flashed here at the studio. So just in case power goes out here and I can't broadcast from here, we've got Ashley back at the station, and she will take over with all that. Okay, more tornado warnings in effect here. Okay, we move the map a little bit further north. I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit, I guess, to see that a little bit better because it's so big.